She speaks on racism in Germany. So she's going to pretty much explain her experience and what she think about racism in Germany.
So, how is the racism in Germany? Let's get into it. I'm Nantle. I'm South African, but I've been living in Germany for over 15 years. And as a black woman and an African immigrant, one of the most frequently asked questions I receive on a daily basis is how's the racism in Germany? And I've always avoided responding to this question publicly for several reasons. One of them being that although this sounds like a very simple question, I believe that it deserves a nuanced conversation. Another reason I found it difficult to answer this question on social media is because I never know what the person who's asking it really wants to know. Do you want to know whether there is racism and it is as bad as you imagine? Or there is racism but it's tolerable? Or there's just no racism at all? Because how do we measure racism? But as I've become more active on TikTok and my account has been growing and my content is generally centered around my life in Europe, particularly in Germany, I thought it would be fair that I try to answer this question as truthfully and as genuinely as I possibly can. So, are there racists in Germany? Yes, there are. Have I experienced racism in Germany? Yes, I have. Do I experience racism or discrimination daily or regularly in Germany? No, I don't. Do I, as a black person and as an African immigrant living in Germany, feel unsafe in Germany? No, I don't. I've lived here in Germany for almost 16 years, and in that entire time, I've experienced the violent, life threatening type of racism only once. I used to work in a theater, and on some days, the show would end at around 11 p.m. So, this one evening, I was on my way home. It's around 11:30 p.m., and I'm in the city about to catch my bus home. And out of nowhere, this drunk man starts hurling racial insults at me. I was shook. I was scared because there was no one else around. So even if I did scream for help, nobody would have been able to help me. Thankfully, I was unharmed. He did not physically attack me, and I made it home safe. So that was the one time that I experienced what I would call life threatening racism in Germany. What I sometimes do experience or observe are microaggressions. A lot of German drugstores and beauty stores do not stock foundation for women of color. One of my very first viral TikToks is of me trying to buy foundation in one of the biggest German beauty stores. At the time, Lupita Nyong'o was the brand ambassador for Lancome. I'm not sure if she still is. I walk into the store and I ask the sales assistant if they have a Lancome foundation for my skin tone. And she explicitly says to me they only have foundation for Europeans. She uttered this so nonchalantly that I doubt that she even realized what she was implying, which was that only white people are Europeans. This is despite there being Europeans of all ethnicities and all skin tones. There are so many black people who were born in Europe and who have been in Europe for multiple generations. Now, besides that, I've never been declined entrance to a venue, for example, a club, as I have been in South Africa. I have never been declined dining in a restaurant and told that the restaurant is fully booked even though there were empty tables, something I've also experienced in South Africa. I've also never, I have been stopped by the police for speeding, but I've never been harassed by the police in Germany. I've also never been followed around in a shop or treated in a suspicious manner. Now, this is not to say that these things do not happen in Germany. There have been numerous reports of police brutality towards black people and other people of color. There have been people who have been declined entrance to clubs. There have been people who've said that they were treated with suspicion, whether it was at the airport or it was at a shop. This is why I've always been skeptical of answering this question about racism in Germany, because there is a danger of sounding like I am invalidating other people's experiences or just being delusional. It sounds weird even just saying that the only racism I often experience or witness are microaggressions, because microaggressions are still racism. And what is the right amount of racism? Like, how do you measure racism? What is too much racism? What is just enough racism? But because the question of racism has been asked so many times, my assumption as someone who has never been to Germany is that you want to know if, as a black person, you would be safe or you are most likely to be harmed in Germany. I cannot guarantee that if you come to Germany, you will definitely experience racism, and I cannot say that you will not experience racism. Just last week, it was reported that the German far-right party is planning a mass deportation of non-ethnic Germans, so non-white Germans, if they ever came into power. This is a minority party. They are similar to like Action SA or the VF in South Africa. And although this party does not currently have any significant power in Germany, Germans took this threat very seriously. And since the report was publicized, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Germans across the country have been protesting against racism, against neo-Nazism, and they have been calling for a total ban of this party. This video was taken yesterday afternoon in the city of Hamburg, that's where I live, where over 100,000 people as far as the eye can see, shut down the entire city center on a Friday afternoon because they do not want racism in Germany. And as I've already said, these protests have been taking place all over the country since last week because many Germans, millions of Germans, are anti-racism. This far right-wing party is proof that they are racists, there is racism, and there is neo-Nazism in Germany. But the fact that for the last week there have been millions of Germans who have been protesting and calling for a total ban of this party is also proof that there are Germans who are against racists, they are against racism, and they are against Nazism. There are black people who have visited Germany or lived in Germany who will tell you that they experience a lot of racism in Germany. Believe them. There are black people who have visited Germany, who have lived in Germany, who will tell you that they have not experienced a lot of racism in Germany. Believe them. Because all we can ever do is to share our truths based on our lived experiences. And that's why if you've watched any of my other videos, I always repeatedly say that there is no perfect country. There is only a country that is perfect for you. Because just like we don't experience people the same way, we also do not experience countries the same way. It's like I've lived in America, and during my time of studying there, I didn't experience racism. I didn't experience police brutality. But we read about these things all the time in the news. And just because I did not experience it does not mean that it's not a reality. Or with crime in South Africa. Yes, there is crime in South Africa, but I was in South Africa a couple of weeks ago and I did not experience any crime, but that does not mean that there is no crime in South Africa. So I hope this video gives some sort of nuanced perspective to the question of racism in Germany. Yeah.